Hey there, thanks for tuning into Duckbricks. I'm Chris, and join me for a look at the second largest LEGO Dream set of the summer 2025 wave, Mateo's paint truck. This is honestly giving me heavy M-Tron vibes with a red and transparent green color scheme, but of course with a Dreamzzz twist. And for the first time in my early reviews, we'll be taking a look at the B model as well, the alternate build for the set, although to be honest, for this set in particular, it's not that much different from the main build. It basically just turns the paint can into a rocket, but mounts it mostly in the same way. However, this is a really interesting and fun design for a Dream set. It certainly feels unique compared to the other hero vehicles we've gotten so far for the theme, so let's jump into my early review right now. This here is the second largest set of the wave. It is Mateo's paint truck, and it retails for $100 US, 100 euros, and comes with 929 pieces, as well as a number of different minifigures, two of which are actually exclusive to the set. Well, actually technically 2.5. This is a very different design for a hero vehicle than we've seen in a lot of prior LEGO Dreamzzz waves. I like how it integrates the Mateo color scheme while still feeling like its own thing. The stickers are fully metallic and reflective, which is a surprise to be sure, but a welcome one, which is something you don't really see too often and a really cool detail for this set. The set itself does come with a couple of different villain components, and we'll take a look at those small side builds first. These are just little tiny brains that walk around and attack some of the Dreamlings, and they are very close in design to a lot of the other walking brains that we got earlier this year, but I actually do like them for what they are. They are utilizing a brand new dual molded brain component in trans pink and white. It's also using these new for 2025 wire elements, which are really fun to play around with. They're fully flexible, and you can use them to attach onto different characters' heads, which is always a fun design. But I think we should focus most of our time here on taking a look at the paint truck itself. As I said in the intro, this is really reminding me of almost like an M-Tron vehicle, like the Megacore Magnetizer. You've got these big green wheels, it has a red and transparent green design. It's a lot of fun. I'm also getting Mad Max vibes from this, almost post-apocalyptic. It kind of reminds me of some of the LEGO Movie 2 vehicles, but in a good way, and I actually really appreciate a lot of the aesthetics about this build. The only thing that's a bit of a downside is that for a set this big, the alt model is honestly really lame. It basically just does not change that much about the model at all, and we'll do a side-by-side comparison in a little bit. Just take a look at that. So the way this works is that the paint truck can be moved up and down, and it is the spray paint truck, so you can of course angle this movable gun on the back and front. Presumably the tank is completely filled with paint, and then you can use it to blast your enemies with paint. There's even a cockpit on the top to allow presumably the gun operator to mount it, and then you twist these knobs on the side of the paint truck to allow it to fire the 6-stud shooter. There probably was a slightly easier way they could have done it. They actually have a pretty complicated gearing system inside the truck to accommodate this. I don't think that was needed. I think they could have just done an axle going all the way through, or at the very least have something a bit more interesting. If you're gonna have a geared mechanism inside this, just even have something spinning at the back would have been nice, but altogether, for what it is, I think it is an okay function to play with. In keeping with the rest of the modular components for the LEGO Dream sets this wave, you do have a couple of different components here, but honestly they're very uninteresting. I think the cool ones are these rotatable turrets, because of course you can rotate them back and forth, which I'm sure is going to look good on some of the other LEGO Dreamzzz vehicles like we took a look at earlier this year for the January wave, but the other ones are so lame. They're basically just the smokestacks of the front truck, and I cannot imagine wanting to use those in any of the other builds. They basically are just there attached by clips, just to allow you to attach more interesting things to the front of the vehicle. Like the gun turrets, which actually look pretty cool up there, I will say. Now, my favorite thing about the set is that it isn't just like a standard LEGO truck. Both the front and the back components are mounted at a very slight angle, which means that the front of the truck has a slightly forward rake to it, and the back of the truck has a backwards rake, and it's super subtle, but it's a detail that I find to be really fun. That's accomplished by having just a little bit of suspension suspension in the wheels themselves, which we'll take a look at how they're built in a second. There's ample space to seat minifigures. As you can see, Mateo fits in the front cockpit, you've got 2 gunners on the side for Mr. Oz and Cooper, and there's even space for Albert the Monkey on the top of the paint truck, which is just really nice. They managed to make space for every single one of the minifigures here. Of course, you can detach the back component to allow the front truck just to drive on its own, and it is using the new transparent green wheels, which is new for 2025, that we saw in Z-Blob's action race car as well. There's a look at that suspension built into the wheels, which again allows you to have this set be mounted at a slightly different rake when you have the truck mounted itself, which I think is really cool. Now, in terms of the figures included in the set, I actually think that the figure lineup is pretty good. You have the slime version of Mateo, or as we like to say, Venomized Mateo, Mr. Oz, Cooper, Albert, sporting dark blue classic spaceman gear, which is super cool, the Villain 1 and the Villain D-Shock. The only thing that is a bit of a downgrade is, again, the B model is so lame. It is barely a B model. It is basically a 2-in-1 set in name only, because what you do is you build the truck completely identically to the way that you can basically build the truck normally, and just the only difference here is that instead of having side-mounted guns, you have a rocket ship instead of the paint truck. But the thing is, the paint drum is basically identical to the rocket ship, so if you put them side by side, they look almost identical. Sure, you have some back booster engines on the side of one build versus the other one just not having those, but honestly, the difference is so minute that I definitely feel like it is certainly a waste. Usually I buy 2 copies of every single Dream set just to have the alternate builds displayed next to each other, but it is not worth it for this. They are so similar. It really just doesn't make sense. That being said, the functionality for the rocket ship version is actually pretty neat in the way that it fully detaches. The way it's mounted here is that you have this Technic assembly on the side of the build, where you push on one side and you just de-link it from these Technic axles, and all of a sudden, you can fully detach the rocket. It's a little awkward in the way it's built, it's a little clunky, and it doesn't really always work the way it is, but I do like how you do have a separate build for the rocket itself, just allowing it to make it feel like a slightly different build there, the tubes connecting to the back jet exhausts, but otherwise, the truck by itself, without the actual paint canister on top, also does feel very empty. So honestly, I prefer just having the standard model because it feels just more coherent as a truck that way. Of course, the rocket ship does have some slight reconfigurations. The way that the 6-stud shooter works now is just by twisting the shooter at the top, and strangely enough, it does still include the gearing mechanism that the A model does have, but it just isn't connected to anything, which is a little bit strange how they still have you put in the gearbox element on this version of the model, but it's not even attached to any gears. So it is what it is. I think that the all model here is very weak, but altogether, the set itself is pretty decent as a build. Moving into the minifigures of the set, you do have your Venomized Mateo, or of course the Z-Blobified Mateo, and this is a really cool minifigure. I love the dual molding on one of the legs, of course keeping in line with the other version of the character, but this is one of the first times I can remember us getting printing on the side of the leg for a transparent component, so I think it's really cool to have the transparent leg have printing on the side, and that rubberized hood is a really weird piece. It's very specific, it kind of makes him look bald, but it is cool to get a transparent green rubberized hood that is very much themed around Z-Blob. Mr. Oz in this new outfit is exclusive to this set, and while it would have been cool to get some sort of armor piece for Mr. Oz, especially because he has had armor in his previous appearances, it is nice to also get a slightly more slimmed down version of the character. He does have dual blasters, which are built up pretty nicely, as well as a nice metallic design for the torso. Gunmetal gray legs, gunmetal gray arms, and printing on the front of the torso, and strangely enough, Mr. Oz's beard, much like his beard last year, is silver, which I don't really know why they chose to do that, but hey, you know what? It is certainly an interesting design choice. Albert the Monkey here is one of my favorite figures in the set, and that is because he is introducing a dark blue air tank set and a dark blue classic space helmet, which is something we have been wanting LEGO to make ever since they introduced the dark blue classic space torso in the LEGO Dreamzzz Build-A-Minifigure for in-person LEGO store Build-A-Minifig setups last year. So it's kind of come full circle. Now you can make a full dark blue spaceman, and that is very nice. Albert strangely has a pearl gold head, although I guess it's meant to represent the fact that he maybe has a visor over his head. One of them has these visor details, and the other one showcases him holding his breath, because maybe that's after you steal the helmet and air tanks from him. Cooper is unchanged from his appearance earlier this year for the January wave, which was very Cooper focused, so I'm glad he's taken a bit of a backseat here. Would have been nice to get Izzy in this set, especially because Izzy doesn't appear this wave at all, but it is okay to get Cooper as well, and I think it does make sense to have him in this set. He has an Alden expression with an angry face as well, and it's nice to get that dual molded hairpiece, which we also saw in the Jaw set, but otherwise he is just basically the same exact design as we saw earlier this year. My favorite minifigure in the set though has to go to One. One appears to be Zero's sister, and I just love the new dual molded component introduced for the hair. I feel like with different colors that could be a really cool piece used for Ninjago's Pixel. It's very technological in its design, it feels like a wire cable sticking out of the back of the head, but it really is unique to this character and it genuinely is really nicely done. The design of the character is also really cool. You've got this kind of coral design with little bits of white integrated into the color scheme. The hair is transparent opalescent satin for the base color, and then it has the coral ponytail with a crown as well, and of course she does have a skirt too, and the skirt really does make the minifigure feel complete, especially as a sister to Zero who had those dual molded legs. It's a really nice minifig design, certainly one of my favorites of the year honestly. Metallic blue for the eyes is so cool, and altogether definitely one of the most interesting Dreamzzz villain designs we have ever gotten. The other villain is D-Shock here, and D-Shock is unchanged from his appearance earlier this year, but I still maintain it is a very fun and interesting and dynamic villain design. He's sporting the fluorescent green mohawk element introduced for Storm, as well as for LEGO City and Tox from Ninjago. The gun is the same, and that's one thing I do want to note. It's really nice to get consistency in the weapon pieces used from one wave to the next, and of course, he does have this pixelated skull design on his head as well, which I think is really cool. Altogether, Mateo's paint truck is honestly a really fun set. I like this set a lot better than I think people online do, and I think a lot of that boils down to the fact that the color scheme just feels very solid to me. It's very playable, and I also love those metallic stickers on the side of the tank, on the side of those front guards for the truck. Oh my goodness, those are just so cool. The price for the set is actually pretty decent as well. 929 pieces for $100 feels very fair for what you get here in the build. The only thing is that for a LEGO Dream set, that alt model is so weak. I cannot believe that's the alt model for a set this big. It's just really lame as an alt build, but honestly, if you want to just enjoy the set as is, I definitely would say this is one of my favorite LEGO Dream sets we've gotten, not just all year, but maybe in general. It's a really solid set, and I certainly would recommend it, especially at the price, which feels pretty fair, unlike, sadly, a lot of the other sets we've been getting this year. And with that, we have summed up my thoughts on this summer 2025 LEGO Dream set. Let me know in the comments below, do you like it, do you dislike it, will you be buying it when it releases on June 1st this year worldwide, which is a bit of a departure from Dreamzz's normal August launch time, and let me know in the comments what you think of the set as a whole. Thank you so much for watching this early review, special thanks to LEGO for providing this product for review, although of course all opinions have been my own, and of course stay tuned for even more LEGO news, reviews, discussion, and analyses coming your way very soon. Thanks and bye for now.